Hi, my name is Carley English, and this is my presentation for my Honors Mentorship Spring 2016 final project. For my final project, I chose a question that not even I would have imagined researching. The essential question that I researched was, how could I create a non-invasive device to detect strep throat-causing bacteria? There were many reasons that I chose to research this question. Through Honors Mentorship, I have an internship at Guilford Immediate Care. There, I triage patients, take x-rays, run different tests such as urine analysis, strep, flu, and more. One day when I was there, a little boy came in with he had a chief complaint of a sore throat, so obviously he needed to be tested for strep. When the medical assistant removed the cotton swab from the wrapper, he began to cry and scream and already didn't want to be tested. As I watched him fight the nurse as well as his mother, my heart broke for him, and because he was so afraid of the strep test. And after that experience and many more like it since, I decided to base my entire research project on finding a different way to diagnose strep throat. I'm personally swabbed for strep about 4 times a year, and I remember being a small child terrified of being tested for strep, and I would cry each time they did it. And obviously I don't do that now, but it's still uncomfortable, and nobody likes getting tested for strep. And I know from personal experience just how uncomfortable it is, so that's another reason why I decided to research this. And as an aspiring physician, it's my dream to one day own my own practice, and by inventing a new medical technological advancement, I feel that it would be a great lead on my medical career, and it could go further than I ever imagined possible. And this possible invention could not only lead to a non-invasive way to test for strep, but it could possibly detect other bacteria that could be causing pain in the throat or anything like that. So the possibilities could be endless. Before I began researching, I had to know exactly what I needed to research. So I knew that with all the modern technology in healthcare now, there had to be a more advanced way to test for strep throat than with a cotton swab. And so I began thinking and came to the conclusion that my product could be a type of camera that detects bacteria like a hunting camera would detect temperature. So it might sound odd, but my thought process was that if the camera can detect heat, then maybe it could detect other things too. And the first idea that I thought of was like a flashlight, and it was something that would be the same size and shape as a flashlight is. And on the end where the light comes out, that would be a lens that would be pointed toward the throat. And then on the other end where you would like hold it and look at it would be like a little small screen, like a small phone screen that would show what had been detected. So just like a thermocam detects red for heat, it could detect, I don't know, maybe blue for strep or something like that. So, when I first began research for this project, I knew it would be difficult to find credible sources on it because there have been very few attempts at attempting to discover a new way to detect for this. So I knew it would be difficult, but I did end up finding over 5 credible sources related to my topic without too much difficulty. And I made annotated bibliographies for 3 of them, and then just used in-text citations for the other 2. And my first article, well, I was originally going to do a research topic based on anesthesia because I've always thought it was really interesting and wanted to know more about it. But because my internship's in an immediate care clinic, there's virtually no anesthesia happening. So I decided to do something a little closer to what is in my life now. So my first source was an article that discussed the usage of anesthesia and how it works on the body, but I didn't end up using this source because I changed my topic. My second annotated bibliography was about an article that discussed a new method of testing for strep throat. It discussed the usage of something called touch spray ionization mass spectrometry. And this is kind of like what I was kind of trying to invent because it detected it in under 5 seconds, but it wasn't like a camera kind of thing. It was just a little device. And this particular method reveals, like I said, it reveals it in a matter of seconds. But the only downfall to this method was that it's limited to only one species of bacteria, which is called the S. pyogenes, that's the bacteria that the bacteria family that Streptococcus bacteria is in. So that was related to mine, but it was only limited to one type of bacteria, so it wouldn't be as virtual as the other. My last annotated bibliography was written from an article that discussed the guidelines on the diagnosis of strep throat in clinics across America, and it raised the question, are clinical criteria really good enough at diagnosing strep throat in adults? And this related to my topic because it was insight into the question of, would this device that I'm trying to create and get ideas from, would they meet the clinical guidelines that had been set? So, my last bit of research was an interview that I conducted, and I had to come up with questions to ask someone that knew a lot about my topic. And so I used my mom because she used to be a medical assistant, so she had a lot of experience in like clinics and just like testing for strep throat and stuff like that. And I asked her a lot of questions about her experiences when she was testing kids and adults and everything like that. And we discussed what needed to be changed within the testing process, and she gave me a new insight into which direction my project needed to go. This project was one that I really enjoyed doing. Being able to research and present something that interests me was really fun and kind of different than what I usually get to do at school. So while it was fun researching, my project as a whole was not a complete success. While I did develop ideas about a new device, I was unable to completely create one. I discovered that a new device would be possible, however not plausible for me at this time, because as a junior in high school, dual enrolled and involved in clubs and extracurricular activities, the amount of time that I would have to devote to creating something like this is an amount that I don't have to devote at this point in my life. And I also don't have enough access to information, resources, or money to create something like this. But I was able to conduct enough research to come to the conclusion that the problem for swabbing for strep throat is one that needs to be resolved, and it can be resolved fairly easily. And while this issue does need to be addressed, there are many other important issues in the healthcare world that would take priority. Thank you.